in Southall in the 50s and 60s, there's a huge movement, and I choose my words carefully, of white residents called the Southall Residents Association. You know, the Southall Residents Association developed, a section of it developed into the National Front, which had mass popular support in the country. Now, this happened in the 1960s and 70s. So when young people were growing up, they suffered the extremities of racist propaganda. And they suffered on a direct street level. It wasn't a question of not having accommodation. It wasn't a question of not getting the job. I'm not saying there wasn't violence used against our fathers and mothers, but there was that direct discrimination. For our generation, we suffered violence on the streets, and we had to organize in a manner which suited that form of violence against us. So the notion of self-organization comes traditionally and was used effectively by young people, especially in the 1976 and 79 period, where we actually took on, in Southall, the emerging racist skinheads and defeated them on the street. There are 2 or 3 examples of that. It starts from the explosion on the streets by young people in 1976 as a result of the murder of Kuldeep Singh Chaggar, and right up to the burning of the Hambro pub in 1981, when a racist band called Foreskins came from the East End. We warned the police that there'll be problems if they come. The police refused to do anything. These skinheads came out of the bum, started beating a young and an old Asian woman in just 100 yards from here. And we had organized in such a way that 400 young people came out in the streets in a matter of minutes. There was a fight, the skinheads retreated, and we were able to burn the Hambro Tavern, which allowed these skinheads to have that band. So as a result of the long struggle started by our fathers and mothers in the 1950s, to the growing militancy and the explosiveness and the enthusiasm and the new dynamic organization of young people in the 70s, Southall today is free of skinheads. They dare not come in the midst of the community and cause terror against our community. On the 11th of November 1989, a young taxi driver, Kuldeep Singh Sekhon, was stabbed 58 times by a racist called Stephen Coker. We said it was racist murder because Coker has a history of racial violence against Asian and black families on an area on an estate called the Golf Links Estate. We set up with the family the Sekhon Family Support Group. And there was a huge battle for the murder to be recognized as a racial murder with us, together with the family and the police. The police up till today do not believe it was a racial murder. At the funeral, which took place on Wednesday, the 31st of January, the whole of Southall went on strike. Sekhon was a taxi driver. 13 cab companies went on a strike for 24 hours. The reason why the whole town went on strike was for 2 reasons. Everybody has a collective memory about racial violence. Everybody has a collective memory of a community that will always come to aid if somebody else is injured. And everybody wanted to pay their own private tribute to this senseless racial violence that had taken place. And everybody realizes that racial violence is one of the most paramount agendas that they have to look at nationally, not just in Southall.